Hey, how's it going, peeps? It's been a while. Yeah, it's Obi here of Strong Before Five MMA podcast. Um, Welcome again. Again, like I said, it's been a while. Um, yeah, it's just been quite busy with life. Um, a lot of things going on. Obviously, we know about COVID-19 and everything else. With the racial issue in America and over here, just in general in the world, actually. Um, but yeah, we're here to talk about UFC 250, NUNES versus Spencer. Hopefully the microphone works this time. Got it attached to my top. Right. Yeah, where do we begin? All right, so I'm just going to cover the main card. There's 5 fights on the main card. Obviously, you go on Nunes Spencer as the main event. You have Asansao, Garbrandt, actually bantamweight fight. Not a bantamweight fight, Sterling Sandhagen. And you go welterweight fight between Neil Magny, Rocco Martin. And then you go bantamweight fight, Wyland and O'Malley. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna just begin with the Wyland O'Malley fight. Uh, I'm just gonna say, like, out the gate, this card is gonna be really excited because there's a lot of exciting matchups, very interesting prospects, uh, amazingly skilled fighters on this one. So yeah, it was fun breaking this down and watching tapes on the most of these fighters. One of them is obviously O'Malley. O'Malley, if you don't know about him, he's very skilled, amazing striker. But his skill set don't necessarily end uh, with striking. It's very easy to underestimate him because he's quite new in the scene, in a sense, in terms of, I believe he's only 3-4 fights in to his UFC career. His career has been punctuated with, I think he had issues with marijuana use, and he basically had a year's suspension or something like that. Extreme, right? So yeah, he's fighting a veteran in Wyland. Wyland used to be the champ in a different uh, organization. As of right now, he's coming off a knockout victory from his last fight. And obviously he's fighting O'Malley. Just looking at the stats though, height-wise, you go O'Malley 1.8 meters, Wyland 1.7 meters. I don't really go off sort of like these metrics because I like the inches and feet metrics. But again, like what sticks out to me is the reach. I always want to look at the reach of the fighters. Both of them are stand-up fighters for the most part. So Wyland, you barely ever see him taking anyone down. It's not even in his mentality or his psyche. So it's gonna be a stand and bang, bro. Let me bang. It's gonna be a stand and bang affair. So you got Wyland with the shorter reach. He's not the most dynamic striker. When I say dynamic, I mean he it's a lot of activity, high energy, mostly right hand dominant. Whereas you got O'Malley, who's a switch stance fighter. So right hand dominant, so quite predictable in that sense. Um, he moves his head about quite a bit, but quite easy to read pattern. So he doesn't really his defense is not really great, so he doesn't really hold his hands high either. So there's no guard. His guards are not up. Just relies on movement, and his movement is easy to read. Again, one hand, right hand dominance. So it's quite, like 2D easy read, easy predictable, very predictable Arsenal, um, which for me makes it one of the most easiest matchup on this one in terms of like prediction. I'll say O'Malley, easy win for him. He's been on record to say prior to this fight that he's going to knock out Wineland in round one. So that can tend to play into your opponent's mind in terms of like, oh, watch me, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm guessing, I know Wineland is a veteran, so I'm hoping, or you'd expect, he won't fall into that trap. However, regardless, O'Malley's going to come for you either way. His record is 11-0, so unbeaten. It's his second fight since his return from suspension, and his last fight he had a knockout as well. I believe it was a kick. Was it a kick on a hand? He had a knockout, TKO. He again is surprising. He's very fast. He paces himself very well in terms of like 1 minute he's not moving too much, next minute it just explodes and he's hitting you with all kinds of combinations, legs, hands, darting in, darting out, cutting angles on you, all sorts. His jiu-jitsu is underestimated. He wouldn't normally go for he would go for a takedown if he wants to, but I don't see him doing that on this one. He's going to be very dominant on the feet, and I see him getting a knockout. I believe probably even a round one knockout. It might be a fast one, so buckle up, people, if you're watching this. So on to the next welterweight. You got Neil Magny, Rocco Martin. All right, so I'm just gonna break down the skill set quick. So actually, just looking at the stats, I'm looking at ESPN. So the things I really want to see stats wise, I really like that stand out to me. I would say is usually their reach, because a lot of these guys tend to be stand-up fighters. Rocco Martin likes to stand and bang as well. He comes for you. He likes to take the initiative, so he comes for you, basically head hunting for the most part. Neil Magny, he has very basic stand-up skills, especially with his hands. He does what he needs to do on the stand-up, only really looking to find an opening to clinch up. That's where he does the most of his work. He likes to fight dirty, clinch up, and take you down. His energy levels is so high, crazy high. So his work rate is amazing. So looking at this reach-wise, Magny has an advantage. So with that, I'm gonna thinking, he's gonna be feeling he has the advantage on the stand-up, which that means that he's gonna be able to distract Rocco Martin standing up and then go for a clinch if he needs to. He usually actually tries to back you up in onto the cage. And then when he gets there, he gets comfortable trying to clinch up with you and then fires dirty. And then from there, he lets you take you down and basically do, I don't outwork you, dominant decision or a TKO. Rocco Martin, his main weapon is his jiu-jitsu. His attitude basically really is usually his approach is to come forward, get angry, rile you up, fight, like go crazy on the stand-up. And if you take him down, he basically takes over from there. So his key attribute is his BJJ, his jiu-jitsu. He's deadly on the ground, on his back as well. So that's why this fight is quite slightly difficult to predict in terms of like, obviously Neil Magny likes to fight dirty box, clinch up, but potentially take you down. Actually does take a lot of people down as well. So I'm thinking if he takes Rocco Martin down, that's Rocco Martin's world. So it might be a bit difficult for him in terms of like when he gets down there. So he would do well to try not to take him down, because he would do very well on the stand-up, which is reach and clinch work. I do believe though, because Magny's had a fight with Damian Maia. So I believe Magny, and he's been around the block a few times. So I want to say he's wise to potential, what's it called? Potential jiu-jitsu sort of like uh, traps, potential traps, submissions. That's the word I was looking for. Got it. Yeah, potential submissions attempt. So yeah, so I'm thinking it's going to be wide story. So with that, just based on the threat level from either fighters, I'm going towards Magny for this one, just because again I feel like he's more rounded. He has more experience and he has more of a different options, a lot more options for paths to victory. All right, so I'd say Magny for this one. I can't really say they're not knockout artists at all, so I wouldn't really see any knockouts. Potentially TKO on the ground and pound. My Nigerian accent coming out, ground and pound. No, ground and pound. Yeah. So potentially that might be the case. But definitely I'm going for Magny to win this. On to the next one. You got Sterling Sandhagen, right? This is a crazy matchup, right? I really enjoyed watching like their tapes. Sterling is the last time we fought was like a year ago, and took me by surprise when I saw him fight because it was non-stop outputs. Who was he fighting? He was fighting a Brazilian fighter. He's Brazilian. I forget his name now. And the same guy knocked out Cody Garbrandt in his previous fight. So in that fight against Sterling, I thought Sterling was going to probably lose that fight, but he turned up to like, I don't know, to the max. Yeah, so Sterling, both of them, Sterling and Sandhagen, they're like a mirror opposite. Like they match up very well. Like they're basically like a mirror. They mirror each other so well. It's unbelievable, their skill sets. But from a credentials perspective, actually looking at their height, they're quite similar height-wise as well. Reach is interesting. Sterling has a longer reach than Sandhagen. On here on ESPN, it describes Sandhagen as a switch stance fighter, which is applicable. I think it makes sense. He's got kickboxing credentials. He's like a world champion in kickboxing. So his skills on the stand-up is amazing. Like amazing. Leg kicks, head movements, hands go up whenever he needs to, hands down sometimes when he needs to. He just flows. His output is amazing. If he needs to switch it up and take it down, he takes it down. His jiu-jitsu, if he needs to switch it on, and do something on the ground, throw some submission skills out there. He does it all. He's amazing. Fast, hardly any weakness. The only weakness I see in Sandhagen is when he get rushed. If you rush him and he's fighting backwards, you see that he starts to show vulnerability. So that's one thing you can potentially use against him. Also, he fights quite tall and long. So potentially, we've obviously Sterling's height as well. Sterling might be able to, and also the way Sterling fights quite low center of gravity. So he's going to be closer to Sandhagen when it comes to like trying to take him down. And Sterling mixes it up a lot better than Sandhagen in terms of like mixing up the takedowns. I would say with the Sandhagen potentially on paper would do better than Sterling. However, since Sterling's stand-up is not to be sniffed on at all or sniffed at all, Sterling's stand-up is amazing. He switches when he needs to switch stance. His defense is great. He throws, back elbows, all sorts of crazy attacks. On the southpaw, he's always throwing kicks at you. He takes the fight to you. He's very alert in the pocket. He sees everything. Similar. Both of them are very similar in on the stand-up. I think obviously the difference is Sterling seems to have more when it comes to jiu-jitsu, more when it comes to wrestling, because Sterling has a wrestling background, and I know his jiu-jitsu is on fire. He's got like crazy submissions that you never seen like ever, essentially. So he would do well to game plan around trying to take Sandhagen down. And I think he said as much in one of his interviews where he was saying, you don't want to mess with my ground game. He's like Khabib. So he's probably thinking he's going to weigh up his options going into the fight, and decide what weapons or what options to use. But again, Sandhagen is not a joke. Only one loss in his record. Is not a joke. It's a crazy fight. Even on, like, if you go to bet, is a pick 'em fight. So basically, anyone can win it essentially. There's no favorite for this fight, and that's a good reflection of the actual fight. Who am I going to go for? It's a very difficult one. I would say it's up to you to decide what you want to go for. I wouldn't bet on this fight. Saying that I've already placed a bet on the fight, and I've gone either way. So if I really had to go for one person, I'll probably say Sterling, just because, again, wrestling base, and he knows his way around the ground game as well. So potentially he might be able to mix it up. He'd be wise to mix it up. Sterling's work rate can be a bit lacking, so he slowed down a little bit in the last fight as well towards the end, but he was still in there. So potentially maybe an issue going into the third round. Who knows? But again, it's a very difficult fight to call. So if I had to go for one person, it'd be Sterling, just because of his ground game and his jiu-jitsu. All right, on to the next one. Garbrandt Assunção, bantamweight fight. Again, looking at their stats, Rich is the one that stands up to me again. So these two are mostly stand-up fighters. So Rich would be a key factor. You got Assunção at 168 meters, and you got Garbrandt at 165. Again, that can be a massive factor in the fight. Assunção is known for being almost like a Tyron Woodley, fighting backwards, as in always going backwards. He's a counter striker, and he does very well going backwards, in terms of, like, when you're attacking him and if you rush him, he strikes very well as well, which is hard to find, is rare to find. Also, he's able to mix up his takedowns. Jiu-jitsu is very high level as well, which makes him very rounded fighter. He's very composed in there. Again, a counter striker, orthodox counter striker, very composed in there. So he's waiting for right time. He decisions people a lot, so he tries to dominate you on with the striking, with the combinations, in terms of, like, mixing it up, taking you down, jiu-jitsu, all sorts. And then obviously you got Garbrandt. Garbrandt is mostly a striker, not a lot in terms of jiu-jitsu. He would guillotine choke you though, if he has a chance. Again, he's an orthodox fighter, very fast hands. Output is quite low because he's more of a counter striker as well. So there's two counter strikers, which makes it very interesting. I definitely see Garbrandt taking more of the initiative though on the stand-up, whereas Assunção, he's going to be backing up a lot. But Garbrandt probably goad him forward at some point, probably hit him and be like, come up. That's what he does a lot. And he likes to watch, and like make reads on you. And, like, obviously he's looking to knock you out. Garbrandt's a fighter's fighter. So how I see this going then, I see Assunção backing up quite a lot. Garbrandt, coming forward, taking the initiative a little bit, but then also waiting to counter Assunção's counters. I do see Assunção doing better with the counter though, because he's always fought, in that pattern, in that way. Garbrandt's coming off 2 losses. I believe Assunção won his last fight, I want to say. So Garbrandt's changed camps recently as well. So it depends what kind of Garbrandt shows up. I believe he's going to be more disciplined this time around. However, again, he's going to be coming up against a more rounded jiu-jitsu MMA fighter. So I believe that might be very key in the outcome of this fight. So Garban is looking to knock you out. Sancho is very composed in there. He's got a longer reach. He's probably going to hit Garban in certain ways where Garban gets frustrated. He's going to come forward. And obviously with that, Sancho likes his calf kicks as well. So with that, it's going to get Cody to basically like either square up or come forward. If you square up, Asante is going to come forward, probably take you down, probably hit you, all sorts. So again, he's got more tools in his toolbox, and I see that being the main reason in terms of why he's going to win this fight. So I see Asante either decisioning Garbrandt or submitting him. All right, on to the last fight, the main event. You got NUNES versus Spencer. NUNES is GOAT. She is the champ on 2 divisions. So she's a featherweight champ and bantamweight champ. Obviously, bantamweight is lower than featherweight. So she's fighting up this time. Same as the last fight. So she's an orthodox fighter and she's fighting Spencer, who's an orthodox fighter. Skill sets wise, though, actually, let's start with the reach again. I love my reaches, right? So NUNES has a longer reach. So again, these two girls, they tend to obviously fight standing. One thing I noted from NUNES' record is a lot of first round knockouts. And I feel like potentially, if Spencer's not smart, that might happen here. So first round knockouts, her reach, she fights long, she hits you at the end of a punch. So this first round plays into her hands very well in terms of like she's not very high output essentially, so much on the first round, but she's very impactful, very effective with what she does. So she's a very balanced athlete, very balanced mixed martial artist. So she has amazing jiu-jitsu. She can wrestle you, and she can strike, kicks, hands. Again, very orthodox, not a lot of switching. So that, for me, potentially might lead to her knocking Spencer out in the first round. If that don't happen, she tends to slow down in the second round, and obviously that can give Spencer a route to coming back into the fight and potentially taking the fight. Spencer is very durable. She fought Cyborg not too long ago, and she lasted till the end against Cyborg when Cyborg threw everything and the kitchen sink at her. So it remains to be seen whether she will be able to take NUNES' worst attacks or best attacks. I believe NUNES is gonna probably knock her out because NUNES hits like a truck. If she doesn't, again, NUNES is gonna probably take the initiative. She's very smart. She's seen it all and done it all. She's 19-4-0. So that's what, 23 fights. Spencer's had 9 professional fights. So again, NUNES knows what to do in the cage in terms of like when she starts to tire, she knows how to rest. So she basically goes for a takedown, just heavy on top, gets enough rest, and then gets going again. I think that's what's going to be happening. She's going to take the initiative, go for takedowns. The issue with taking down Spencer, though, is Spencer's quite high-level jiu-jitsu as well. So it remains to be seen if the jiu-jitsu cancel each other out. The best way for Spencer to win this fight is basically clinching up with NUNES on the feet and looking to drag her into deep waters in terms of like getting her tired. So clinching up, doing damage, putting a lot of output on her, getting her tired, and swarming her essentially. She's not great on the feet with her hands. Her hands are not sharp. Again, she's giving up what? Yeah, a bit of reach. So, and obviously that works to her disadvantage. But again, her hands are not very sharp. So I wouldn't expect she'd be standing and trading with Nunes at all. She'd be looking to clinch up, and I see Nunes probably, if she tries to clinch up Nunes in the first round and dirty box, that could work. I see that probably working, but how is it going to happen? I don't know. Potentially she can do it. Nunes, in terms of like a footwork, will she be able to, like move away from Spencer enough for Spencer to not clinch up? We'll see. We'll see. I think again, if Nunes can't move away from Spencer and avoid the clinch, then potentially Spencer starts to take over the fight and tire out Nunes. It's a difficult matchup essentially in terms of like the skill sets. I still feel Nunes will be victorious on this one, just based on how much she puts in on the first round and her experience on 5-round fights. So I would say Nunes on this one. Spencer's a very, very massive so Spencer's been on the betting line. She's a massive underdog on this one. So if you wanted to put a lot of money on something, or if you feeling like taking a risk, this is a good fight for it, because Spencer might be able to take it as well. So again, it just depends what skill set works best against the other or cancels out the other. So for me, I feel like Nunes has it, and I'm expecting the Nunes win on this one. And that's it. If you look at the prelims, you got early prelims. It's quite a massive card actually. Some of the fights that stand out: Heinich, Merchat, that's been cancelled. One of Heinich's trainers, they had the COVID, so that's been cancelled. You go Stamen and Kelleher. Kelleher has had 2 fights recently where he won, amazing wins. So he's on the roll. You go Stamen. Stamen is highly rated, so that's one you can look out for. I don't want to predict where that fight is gonna go. I'm not very confident on that one. So let's not go there for that one. You got Manyfield and Clark, 2 explosive strikers. Again, I'm not going to be drawn on predicting that one. So that's one to watch out for, like heavyweight matchup. You got Formiga versus Perez. Formiga is a high-ranking flyweight fighter. So that's another fight you can look out for. So that's it, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to put this on my YouTube. So if you see it and you enjoy it, you're able to win any money on it, let me know. By all means, like, share, and do all the good stuff. I'm going to have this on my Buzzsprout account, where it goes into Spotify, goes onto all the different platforms that you can listen to this on. So let's get out there, listen, get the bits you need to get from this, and yeah, let's make all the money. All right, see you in a bit.